She is your beginning. Before you had words, before you had thoughts, before you even had a name, you were in her. The first heartbeat you heard was hers. The first nourishment came through her. The first world you knew was the body of the mother. Carl Jung believed that the mother is not only our biological origin, but a psychological structure so powerful, it echoes through every human life, every myth, and every spiritual tradition. He called it the mother archetype. This isn't about your personal mother, though your experience of her matters. The archetype goes deeper. It is a primordial image in the collective unconscious. It represents both the life-giving source of nourishment, protection, and love, and the overwhelming force of nature, fate, and even destruction. In other words, the mother is both goddess and devourer. Jung observed that in mythology, the mother is often depicted in dual form, as the virgin and the witch, the earth and the abyss, the queen and the monster. She is Isis and Kali, Mary and Lilith, Demeter and Hecate. Why? Because the maternal force doesn't just give life, it also takes it. It doesn't just comfort, it demands. It doesn't just nurture, it contains the power to smother, to overwhelm, to consume. In his essay Psychological Aspects of the Mother Archetype, Jung explores this powerful image and how it shapes our inner world, whether we're aware of it or not. He writes, "The image of the mother is not just the image of one's own mother. It is the imprint of the universal experience of being mothered, of dependency, fear, love, and the desire to return." In this video, we'll explore the mother archetype in depth. You'll learn why it's one of the most powerful psychological symbols we carry. We'll break down its dual nature, life giver and death bringer, and see how it shows up in myth, dream, religion, and everyday life. Because whether we know it or not, all of us are still relating to the mother. And until we understand the archetype, we may confuse the personal with the universal, or become trapped in patterns we didn't choose. This is the beginning of seeing clearly, of breaking free, and of honoring the deep mystery of the one who first held you body and soul. Carl Jung understood the psyche as a landscape shaped by universal patterns, what he called archetypes. These are not inherited memories, but inherited potentials for image and meaning. And of all archetypes, he believed the mother was the most powerful, the most instinctual, and often, the most dangerous. Why? Because the experience of the mother begins before consciousness. She is the first reality we encounter. Her body is our world. Her mood becomes our weather. Her presence or absence writes itself into our nervous system, shaping how we attach, how we love, and even how we perceive God. But Jung's insight went beyond the personal. In his essay Psychological Aspects of the Mother Archetype, from 4 Archetypes, he describes the mother as a symbol of the unconscious itself. She is not just a caregiver, she is the gateway to the unknown, the source of all psychic life. This archetype, Jung explains, contains both positive and negative poles. Full moon, the positive mother. On one side, the mother archetype represents nourishment, protection, unconditional love, fertility and creativity, wisdom of nature. The earth itself. She appears as the Virgin Mary, Demeter, Kuan Yin, the sacred earth, the life-giving tree, or the inner sense of being held and supported. In this form, she is comforting and essential, a psychic symbol of home and safety. People who are well related to the positive mother archetype often feel a sense of inner rootedness. They can nurture others. They can receive. They can feel safe in the world. But the archetype has a shadow. New moon, the negative mother. The same symbol can become devouring, possessive, smothering, terrifying, engulfing. In mythology, this is Kali Medea, the witch, the seductress, the destructive goddess, the ocean that pulls you under. It is the mother who cannot let go, who binds her children to her emotionally or spiritually. Jung noted that when the negative mother is not recognized, it can manifest as depression, anxiety, fear of success, or a deep inner sense of paralysis. The psyche feels trapped, as if still entangled in a force that once gave life, but now refuses to allow independence. Men and women alike are shaped by this. Jung warned especially about men who unconsciously carry the mother archetype into their adult relationships, idealizing women as caregivers or fearing their power. He called this the mother complex, when a person is overly identified with or psychologically stuck in their relationship to the mother figure. It can lead to inability to commit, addiction to comfort or dependency, rebellion against authority, difficulty separating personal identity from caretaking. But how does one heal or integrate the mother archetype? Jung did not suggest cutting off from it. He saw this archetype not as a problem to solve, but a force to understand. Integration begins with recognizing that your personal mother is not the archetype. She is one expression of it, but the symbol is older, deeper, and shared across humanity. The next step is to differentiate what parts of your relationship to mother are personal history. What parts are symbolic? What patterns do you carry that were once necessary, but now keep you small? In dreams, the mother often appears during times of deep change, when the ego is dissolving. When a new self is being born, she may show up as a nurturing figure or as a devouring one. Jung taught his patients to stay with the image, to feel its energy, and to engage it, not reject it. One of the most profound shifts happens when a person realizes that the inner mother is no longer out there. She becomes internalized, no longer a parent or lover or savior, but an inner function. This is when the archetype begins to transform. You become capable of mothering yourself, offering the presence, love, discipline, and wisdom that may or may not have been given to you externally. And through that, something deeper awakens. The Great Mother as a symbol of the self, the unconscious, the wholeness of life itself. Jung wrote, "The mother archetype is not only a symbol of the personal mother. It is also the matrix of the unconscious, the psychic source from which new consciousness is born." This is why so many spiritual traditions speak of returning to the mother, the cave, the earth, the sea, the womb. Not to regress, but to renew, to go down into the darkness, to surrender to what you do not yet understand, and to be reborn, not as a child but as a soul. The mother is not just a person, she is a field of energy in the human psyche, ancient, sacred, terrifying, and essential. Carl Jung understood that the archetype of the mother shapes us before we ever have language. And that unless we make her conscious, unless we differentiate her symbol from our history, we risk remaining caught in her gravitational pull. Some of us live as if still longing for her protection, others fight against her with every breath. But either way we are bound. Integration begins the moment we realize she is not out there. She is within, and like all archetypes, the mother is not one thing. She is both. She gives life, and demands it. She nurtures and she devours. She is nature, time, fate, body, earth, soul. To fear her is to fear our own vulnerability. To worship her is to deny our own authority. But to honor her, to truly see her, is to reclaim our own wholeness. Jung invites us not to reject the archetype, but to walk with it. To ask, where do I still seek mothering from the outside? Where am I afraid to grow, because I fear I'll lose love? Where have I internalized the dark mother, shaming, punishing, withholding? And where can I now become the inner mother for myself? Because when we learn to mother ourselves, we become part of the archetype, not as children, but as co-creators. We learn to hold space, to nourish, to protect, and to release. And from that place, we return to the world not as fragments, but as something more whole. Jung wrote, "Every archetype contains light and dark, life and death. It is through our confrontation with these polarities that we grow." So may you meet the mother in all her forms, and may you come to know her not just in fear or longing, but as the part of you that knows how to create, how to hold, and how to let go.